You are handing them the power to hurt you, and you don't even see it. Why? Why have you done this? Or maybe, why are you still doing this? Did you think giving more would make them love you? Did you believe that if you were just patient enough, understanding enough, forgiving enough, they would finally wake up and see your worth? Did you think that sacrificing yourself was the price you had to pay for love? Tell me, how has that worked out for you? Are you happy? Are you at peace? Or are you exhausted, mentally, emotionally, even physically? Are you sitting there, overthinking every conversation, waiting for their attention, hoping for the bare minimum? Do you even recognize yourself anymore? Go stand in front of the mirror. Look at yourself. Really look. Do you see her? The woman you used to be before they drained the life out of her. The woman who laughed without second guessing, who didn't have to beg for love, who wasn't constantly waiting for a message, a call, a sign that she mattered. Where is she? Where is the fire in her eyes? Where is the confidence, the self-respect? The woman who once swore she would never tolerate this kind of treatment. What have you done to her? What have you let them do to her? And worse, why did you help them? So, my lady, press the like button and subscribe, because today you stop being the woman who destroys herself for people who never even deserved a piece of her. Today you wake up. Today you start taking your power back. Maybe this isn't the first time you've heard this. Maybe a friend told you to let go. Maybe your own gut screamed at you to stop chasing, stop hoping, stop shrinking yourself for them. But you didn't listen, did you? You made excuses. You told yourself they would change. You told yourself that if you just held on a little longer, gave a little more, proved yourself just one more time, they would finally see your worth. They didn't. They never do. And they never will. Because they already know your worth. They know exactly how much love you have to give. They know how deeply you care. And that's why they know they don't have to try. They've seen it. You waiting, you chasing, you lowering your standards just to keep them around. They see the way you betray yourself for them, and instead of valuing you for it, they use it against you. That's the truth no one wants to say out loud. That's the reality you've been avoiding, and I know it hurts. I know it feels like someone just ripped your heart out of your chest, but it's time you finally face it. This was never love. Love should not feel like exhaustion. Love should not feel like confusion. Love should not feel like begging someone to see you. You have been giving your soul to people who would not even cross the street for you. You have been pouring yourself empty for someone who never even thought to fill you back up. You have been breaking yourself into smaller and smaller pieces, thinking that maybe if you make yourself small enough, they will finally hold on to you. And yet, here you are, still not enough for them. Let me tell you why. Because it was never about you. It was never about whether you were enough. It was about the fact that they never had to earn you. You gave them everything, and they didn't even have to ask. You treated them like a king before they ever proved they were one. You became their safe place, their biggest supporter, their emotional home, without ever asking if they deserved that position in your life. And that is why they will never respect you. I once coached a woman who gave everything, her love, her time, her devotion, to a man who treated her like an afterthought. Every time he disappeared, she waited. Every time he hurt her, she forgave. Every time he pulled away, she ran toward him, hoping this time she could love him enough to make him stay. And then, one day, he left, married another woman within a year, moved on like she never even existed. And you know what broke her the most? Not that he left, but that she saw him give another woman the effort she spent years begging him for. Because here's the harsh truth. When a man is serious about you, there is no confusion. There are no mixed signals. There is no waiting, no guessing, no wondering where you stand. When a man values you, you will know it. And when he doesn't, you will always feel like you are not enough. So let me ask you again, how much longer are you going to live like this? How much longer will you let people take from you without giving anything back? How much longer will you keep setting yourself on fire just to keep them warm? Because the moment you stop, that's the moment everything changes. So, are you going to finally take this decision with me, right here, right now? No more waiting, no more hoping, no more making excuses for people who don't deserve you. Because let me be clear, nothing changes until you decide. Not when they come back. Not when they finally realize what they lost. Not when they throw breadcrumbs your way, just to keep you hooked. The only thing that changes this story is you. So if you're ready to take your power back, if you're ready to stop betraying yourself, if you're ready to finally choose you, then affirm it. Write this affirmation in the comments below. I will never see him again. Say it. Mean it. Show the world. Show the universe. And most importantly, show yourself. Because what's coming next, it will make sure you never, ever let this happen again. Number 1. The harsh truth. He is using your kindness against you. So, my dear, let's stop pretending. He knows exactly what he's doing. And you? You are playing right into his hands. You think your kindness, your loyalty, your ability to forgive will make him love you. You think if you just keep showing up, proving yourself, being patient, one day he'll wake up and realize what he has. Wake. Upper. It doesn't work that way. It has never worked that way. And it never will. Because here's the truth no one told you. He already knows your worth. He knows how rare you are. He knows how deeply you love. And that is exactly why he knows he doesn't have to do a damn thing to keep you. You are like a vending machine. He puts in a few coins, maybe a lazy text, a half-hearted compliment, a fake apology, and he gets unlimited snacks. Your love, your energy, your time, your devotion. He gets the full course meal of your heart. And all he had to do was the bare minimum. And why would he change? Why would he put in effort when you've shown him that he doesn't have to? You keep rewarding his bad behavior. Every time you forgive him too soon, every time you lower your standards, every time you let him back in without consequences, you are telling him, do whatever you want. I will always be here. Let me tell you a story. I read a post on a forum once. A woman who spent 8 years in an on-and-off relationship with a man who cheated on her repeatedly. Every time she caught him, he had excuses. Every time she confronted him, he cried, told her he was sorry, told her he loved her, and every single time she forgave him. And do you know what happened? He got worse. He started cheating more openly. He didn't even try to hide it, because he knew she would never leave. He knew she was addicted to the pain, addicted to proving her love to a man who had already decided she was a doormat. And then, one day, he left for another woman. She wasted 8 years thinking she was being a good, loyal, forgiving woman, and in the end, he still chose someone else. Why? Because men don't value what is freely given. They value what they have to work for. And you are not making him work for a damn thing. So tell me, why would he change? Why would he respect you? Why would he suddenly start giving you his all when you have shown him time and time again that he doesn't have to? Do you know what you're doing? You are teaching him that he can break you and you will still love him. You are training him to believe that no matter what he does, you will always come back. You are showing him that he doesn't have to be a man, doesn't have to step up, doesn't have to cherish you, because you are already doing all the work for him. And let me tell you the hardest truth of all, he does not feel bad about it. That's what hurts the most, doesn't it? The fact that while you're sitting in the dark, crying, wondering why you weren't enough, he's sleeping just fine. While you're torturing yourself over every word, every moment, every sign, he has moved on like it was nothing. Because to him, it was nothing. Because he never had to fight for you. He never had to fear losing you. And that is why he will never, ever respect you. Let that sink in. Really let it sink in. Because the hardest thing you will ever do is admit that this was never love. What you were taught about love is a lie. Love is not pain. Love is not sacrifice. Love is not proving yourself over and over and over again. But the world lied to you. Movies, books, songs, they all taught you that the greatest love stories are the ones you fight for, that the harder it is, the more it must mean something, that if you just love them enough, wait long enough, endure enough, they will change. That is a lie. Love is not suffering. Love is not supposed to make you feel like you are not enough. And if it does, it is not love. So now, my dear, you have a choice. You can keep playing the game, keep waiting for the moment when he suddenly wakes up and realizes your worth. Or you can wake up first. You can finally see the truth, that no one will ever value you until you start valuing yourself, that no one will ever respect you until you stop rewarding disrespect, that the only way to break this cycle is to stop being the woman who makes it easy to be taken for granted. Because the second you stop, that's when everything changes. That's when you rise. And let me be clear, this will hurt. Walking away will hurt. Choosing yourself after years of choosing them will feel unnatural. It will feel like grief. It will feel like death. Because a part of you, the part that kept waiting, kept hoping, kept believing, will die. But in its place, a new woman will be born. A woman who does not chase. A woman who does not beg. A woman who does not give more than she receives. A woman who walks away at the first sign of disrespect. A woman who knows her worth. And that woman, she will never be taken for granted again. So if you are ready to step into that version of yourself, affirm it. Drop a comment. I will never make it easy to be taken for granted. Say it. Write it. Let the universe hear you. Because what's coming next, it will make sure you never, ever let this happen again. Number 2. You are letting him control you without even realizing it. So, my dear, let's get something straight. You think you have a choice, but you don't. Not because you are weak, not because you are incapable of walking away, but because he has already trained you to act exactly how he wants. You think you are in control, but every move you make, it's exactly what he expects. He disappears for days, maybe even weeks. And then, just when you've had enough, when you start thinking about moving on, your phone lights up. Hey, that's it. One word. Nothing deep, nothing special, no apology, no effort. Just a tiny little piece of bait. And you bite. Every single time. You don't ask why he disappeared. You don't hold him accountable. You just jump at the chance to talk. Because you're relieved. Relieved that he's still here. still showing some kind of interest, still pretending to care. So you don't have to face the truth that's been screaming at you all along. He has conditioned you. You are like a fish, and he's the fisherman. He throws out a tiny piece of bait, a breadcrumb of attention, a lazy compliment, a half-assed "I miss you," just enough to keep you hooked, just enough to keep you hoping, just enough to stop you from leaving for good. And you take the bait every time, because you don't want to believe that someone you love would actually play you like this. You don't want to accept that this isn't love, it's control. You don't want to face the fact that the only reason he keeps you around is because he knows he can. Let me tell you the harsh truth. He is keeping you on a leash. Just close enough so you don't leave, but never close enough to love you properly. Because he doesn't actually want to be with you. He just doesn't want to lose you. And you are letting him. Why? Because you are more afraid of losing him than he is of losing you. Think about that. Think about how many times you have put his needs above your own. Think about how many times you have held back your feelings just to avoid pushing him away. Think about how many times you have ignored your own pain just to keep him comfortable. And now, ask yourself, has he ever done the same for you? Has he ever lost sleep worrying about how his actions make you feel? Has he ever held himself accountable the way you hold yourself back just to keep the peace? Has he ever fought for you the way you have fought for him? You already know the answer. So why are you still here? Because you have been taught to fear losing a man more than you fear losing yourself. Society told you to be patient, to be understanding, to give him time, to not be too much. They told you to adjust yourself, shrink yourself, silence yourself, so he doesn't leave. But let me ask you this. If you have to suppress who you are just to keep him, what exactly are you holding on to? You are waiting for love in a place where love does not exist. You are fighting for something that only hurts you. And the worst part? He knows. He knows you're scared to lose him. He knows that no matter what he does, you'll stay. He knows that he can disappear, play games, make excuses, and the second he decides to come back, you will be right there, waiting. And because of that, he will never choose you. Because why would he? He doesn't have to. You have already made it clear that he can have you without ever fully committing to you, that he can give you just enough to keep you without ever actually giving you what you deserve. And as long as you keep playing along, nothing will change. So, my dear, the question is not, why is he doing this? The real question is, why are you letting him? Why are you allowing yourself to be an option, a backup plan, a source of comfort for someone who wouldn't even notice if you walked away? Why are you choosing pain over peace, confusion over clarity, disrespect over self-respect? And how much longer are you willing to live like this? Because let me tell you something. If you do not take control of your life, someone else will. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. But you can stop it right now. Not by explaining, not by begging, not by waiting for him to change. You stop it by doing the one thing he never thought you would. You stop playing his game. You stop responding to weak attempts. You stop reacting to his breadcrumbs. You stop making yourself available to someone who only values you when it's convenient. Because the second you do, that's when everything shifts. That's when he realizes he no longer has control over you. That's when he starts to feel the loss. But by then, you won't even care. So if you are ready to break free, affirm it. Drop a comment. I refuse to be controlled by anyone who doesn't truly value me. Say it. Write it. Let the world hear you. Because what's coming next, it will make sure you never, ever fall into this trap again. Number 3. The only thing that will make him respect you. So, my dear, how much longer are you going to beg for respect? How many more times will you sit there, explaining, pleading, waiting, thinking that if you just find the right words, if you just show him how much he's hurting you, if you just cry one more time, he will finally get it? Let me tell you something that will change your life. Talking doesn't work. Crying doesn't work. Explaining doesn't work. Only one thing works: absence. That's it. That's the secret. That's the only thing that will ever make him respect you. Because here's the truth. Men are like spoiled kids. If a child screams and you hand them candy every time just to shut them up, what happens? They scream louder. They throw bigger tantrums. They learn that if they just make enough noise, they will always get what they want. But take the candy away. Stop reacting. Stop feeding the bad behavior. They learn discipline. They learn that actions have consequences. And men, they are the exact same way. You keep rewarding bad behavior with your loyalty. You keep proving yourself to someone who doesn't even care. You keep teaching him that no matter what he does, you will always be there. So why would he change? He has nothing to lose. You want to know why he doesn't respect you? Because he doesn't fear losing you. And do you know what happens when a man doesn't fear losing you? He takes you for granted. Every time. Let me tell you a story. I once read about a woman who spent years chasing a man who treated her like an option. She gave, she waited, she forgave, and every time she thought about leaving, he would do just enough to pull her back in. One sweet text, one fake apology, one tiny bit of attention to keep her hooked. And she fell for it every single time. Until one day, she had enough. She didn't send a long message. She didn't demand closure. She just left. She stopped texting. She stopped checking in. She went silent. And do you know what happened? For the first time in years, he started chasing her. Why? Because he felt the loss. Because suddenly he was no longer in control. Because the second she stopped reacting, stopped begging, stopped proving, he had to face the one thing he was never prepared for, the possibility that she was really gone. That's when he panicked. That's when he started questioning everything, because men do not appreciate what they do not fear losing. That's why silence is so powerful, because silence does what words never could. It forces them to sit with themselves. You see, as long as you keep talking, keep explaining, keep begging, he doesn't have to think, he doesn't have to process, he doesn't have to feel the weight of his actions, because he knows deep down you are still there. But the moment you go silent, the moment you disappear, that's when he starts to notice. That's when the regret creeps in. That's when he starts replaying every moment, wondering why you aren't chasing him anymore. But let me warn you, he will test you. Oh, he will absolutely try to pull you back in. A random, hey, a thinking about you, maybe even a half-hearted, I miss you. And in that moment, you will be tempted to respond. You will tell yourself, maybe he's changing. You will wonder, maybe he finally gets it. You will feel that familiar pull, the one that kept you trapped for so long. But you have to stay strong, because the second you break, the second you give in, the second you respond, he wins. He learns that all he has to do is wait long enough, and you will always come back. And do you know what happens then? Nothing changes. Because he never actually missed you. He missed the control. So, if you want to know the only thing that will ever make him respect you, stop talking and start walking. Stop explaining. Stop proving. Stop believing that your words will ever change a man who has already shown you he doesn't care. Because the moment you stop showing up for someone who takes you for granted, that's the moment you take your power back. And yes, it will hurt. Walking away will hurt. Being silent will feel like torture. Everything inside you will scream to go back, to check in, to reach out. But that pain, that's your freedom being born. That's the part of you that finally understands. If he needed to lose you to see your worth, he never really valued you in the first place. So now, my dear, it's time. It's time to do the one thing that will finally set you free. Go silent, walk away, and never look back. And if you are ready to step into that power, affirm it. Drop a comment. I am done explaining my worth. Say it, write it, let the world hear you. Because what's coming next, it will make sure you never, ever waste your words on someone who wasn't listening in the first place. Number 4, you are making him your priority while he makes you an option. Let me make this crystal clear. If he wanted you, he would show it. No confusion, no mixed signals, no games. But here you are, stuck in a cycle of waiting, holding on to every text, every half-hearted moment of attention, every excuse he throws your way, just to keep believing that one day maybe he'll choose you the way you have already chosen him. Wake up. He already made his choice, and it's not you. You are like a woman standing outside a closed restaurant, knocking on the door, hoping they'll open just for you. Meanwhile, he's inside, serving other customers, laughing, moving on with his life, while you sit there, starving. How much longer are you going to wait? How much longer are you going to convince yourself that maybe, just maybe, if you wait long enough, he'll finally let you in? Because here's the harsh truth. If he truly wanted to be with you, he would act like it. No excuses. No, he's just busy. No, he's been hurt before. No, he needs time. No more lies. If he isn't choosing you, it's because he doesn't care enough. Period. And yet, here you are, making him your whole world while he barely even checks in on you. Pathetic, isn't it? And I don't say that to hurt you. I say it to wake you up. Because this is self-betrayal at its finest. You are investing everything into someone who only gives you their leftovers. Why? Why are you treating him like a king when he barely treats you like an afterthought? Why are you prioritizing a man who makes you feel like an option? Let's be honest, you feel it. You feel the anxiety, the self-doubt, the constant questioning of your own worth. You know, deep down, that something isn't right, but instead of walking away, you hold on tighter. Because you don't want to admit that you gave your heart to someone who never really wanted it. But here's the thing, denying reality won't change it. You are not special to him. I know that stings. I know it feels like your chest is caving in. But you need to hear this. Because as long as you keep pretending that you matter to him, you will keep wasting your time on someone who will never, ever love you the way you deserve. And do you know what he's doing while you sit there, hoping, overthinking, waiting? He's living his life. He's talking to other women. He's pursuing who he really wants. He's giving someone else the effort you keep begging him for. And the worst part, he knows you'll still be there. Because you've trained him to believe that no matter what he does, no matter how little he gives, no matter how many times he disappears, you will always be waiting. Let me ask you something. Does that not disgust you? Because it should. It should enrage you. It should make you want to never answer his calls again. It should make you want to delete every message, block his number, burn the idea of him out of your mind forever. Because you deserve better. But here's the thing, no one is going to give you better until you demand it. And that starts with you finally realizing that you are worth more than this pathetic excuse for love. That starts with you walking away the first time he treats you like an option. That starts with you choosing yourself over the idea of him. Because the longer you wait for him to choose you, the more you are proving to yourself that you don't think you're worth more. And that stops today. So, my dear, if you are finally ready to break this cycle, if you are finally ready to stop waiting at a closed door, if you are finally ready to become the woman who never settles for less than she deserves, affirm it. Drop a comment. I refuse to be an option. Say it. Mean it. Let the world hear you. Let the universe feel your shift. Let yourself finally believe it. Because what's coming next? It will make sure you never, ever settle for less again. Number 5. Love is not supposed to feel like begging. If you feel like you are constantly proving your worth, if you are fighting every day to be seen, to be chosen, to be enough, that is not love. That is slavery. So tell me, my dear, why are you still here? Why are you jumping through hoops like some kind of circus performer waiting for his applause? Hoping that maybe, just maybe, if you flip, twist, bend, shrink yourself enough, he will finally clap for you. But let me ask you, when has he ever clapped for you? When has he ever looked at you and said, I see you, I choose you, I am done searching? He hasn't, and he never will. Because here's the truth, the right man won't need convincing. The wrong man will keep you auditioning forever. And right now, you are stuck in an endless audition. You cook for him, you listen to him, you support him, you give him everything, your time, your heart, your loyalty, without him ever having to commit. And every single day, you are silently asking, am I enough yet? Have I finally earned your love? But do you know what he's thinking? How much more will she give before she realizes I'm never going to choose her? Because he knows, my dear. He knows exactly what he's doing. He sees how hard you're trying. He sees how much you care. He sees that you are the kind of woman who will wait for years, hoping that one day he'll wake up and decide you're worth it. And he is using that against you. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a woman who spent 5 years proving to a man that she was wife material. She was patient. She was loyal. She supported his dreams, loved him at his worst, forgave him when he failed her. And then, one day, out of nowhere, he left. No warning, no real explanation, just a weak excuse. I don't think I'm ready for something serious. And guess what? 6 months later, he was engaged. To another woman. To a woman who never had to prove herself. To a woman who didn't fight, didn't beg, didn't suffer for his love. To a woman who simply existed. And that was enough for him. Do you know how badly that destroyed her? Not just because he left, but because she realized she had wasted years proving herself to a man who was never going to choose her. How much more proof do you need? How many more women do you need to see getting passed over for the next one after years of loyalty, sacrifice, and patience, before you realize that proving your worth to a man is a losing game? Because the truth is, love is not something you earn. Love is freely given. Love is a choice that is made effortlessly, without force, without pressure, without suffering. And if you have to keep proving yourself, if you have to keep auditioning for the role of the one, then you are not the one. So tell me, how much longer are you going to beg? How much longer will you keep trying to be perfect, trying to be good enough, trying to hold on to a man who never had any intention of holding on to you? How much longer will you keep lowering your standards, making excuses, ignoring the signs, clinging to the hope that one day he'll finally love you back the way you love him? Because let me tell you something, my dear, you are not a beggar, so stop acting like one. You are not a child standing outside in the rain, knocking on the door of a man's heart, hoping he'll let you in. You are not a stray dog, waiting for scraps of attention, grateful for whatever crumbs he decides to throw your way. You are not some broken, unwanted thing that has to convince someone to love you. So why are you living like you are? Let this be your wake-up call. Love should not feel like begging. If he wanted you, you would know. If he was sure about you, there would be no doubt. If he truly valued you, he would move mountains to be with you. But he's not. He's sitting back, watching you break yourself for him, watching you cling to the idea of someday, watching you bend over backwards to prove your worth, while he does absolutely nothing, and you are letting him. Why? Because society told you that a woman's greatest achievement is being chosen by a man. Because they taught you that love means sacrifice, love means patience, love means suffering in silence while waiting for him to see your worth. But they lied to you. A love that must be proven is not love. A love that requires you to abandon yourself is not love. A love that makes you feel like you have to constantly earn it is not love. So now, my dear, you have a choice. You can stay on this stage, jumping through hoops, waiting for the applause that will never come. Or you can walk away from the pain, walk away from the waiting, walk away from the idea that love has to be hard, painful, and full of suffering. Because real love, it doesn't feel like this. And the moment you stop begging for the wrong love, you make space for the right one. So if you are ready to stop auditioning, stop proving, stop begging, affirm it. Drop a comment. I will never beg for love again. Say it. Write it. Let the world hear you. Because what's coming next? It will make sure you never, ever lower yourself for love again. Number 6. If you want to win, you have to walk away. So, my dear, let me give you a truth that will change your life. The moment you truly stop caring is the moment he starts paying attention. Not when you cry, not when you explain, not when you send long emotional texts telling him how much he's hurt you. He doesn't care about any of that. But the second you disappear, the second you stop chasing, the second you remove yourself from his life like you were never even there, that's when he feels it. Because men are hunters. If the deer comes running toward them, they lose interest. But if the deer disappears into the forest, out of sight, out of reach, suddenly they feel the need to chase. Suddenly they want to hunt again. And right now, you are the deer running straight into his hands. You are making it too easy. You are too available, too predictable, too ready to respond at the first sign of interest. And that is why he doesn't value you. A woman once shared her story on a forum. She spent years being strung along by a man who never committed. He would ghost her for weeks, then pop back up with a weak, "I miss you," and every time she let him back in. But one day she was done. No announcement, no last message, no warning. She just disappeared, blocked his number, moved on with her life. And do you know what happened? Months later, he showed up at her door, Suddenly, he was panicking. Suddenly, he was realizing what he lost. Suddenly, he was ready. Not because he loved her, not because he had changed, but because he finally felt the absence he never thought he would feel. Because here's the truth: a woman's silence is more powerful than her words. You don't teach a man a lesson by explaining yourself. You teach him with your absence. You don't make him realize your worth by begging for his love. You make him feel your worth by taking it away. And yet, you still text him first. What are you doing? Why are you still reaching out to someone who only notices you when he's bored? Why are you still responding to a man who only texts when it's convenient for him? Why are you still feeding his ego with your energy when he has done absolutely nothing to deserve it? Walk away. And I don't mean pretend to walk away. I don't mean go silent for a few days just to see if he'll text. I mean truly, deeply, and permanently remove yourself from his life. Because as long as you keep one foot in the door, he knows you're still there. He knows you're still waiting. He knows that whenever he decides to come back, you'll let him in. Stop proving him right. A man who truly values you does not need to feel your loss to appreciate you, but a man who only saw you as an option, he will only realize your worth when you stop giving him access to it. And by then, it will be too late. Because this time, you are not waiting for him to wake up. You are not playing the game. You are not sitting around hoping for a text that should have come months ago. This time, you are walking away and never looking back. This will hurt. I know. You will feel the urge to check your phone, to reach out, to break the silence just to feel some kind of relief. Don't. Because every second you stay silent, you are reclaiming your power. Every moment you don't respond, you are reminding yourself that you are stronger than this addiction. And when he finally notices your silence, when he finally realizes you are gone, that's when he will feel everything you have already felt. But by then, you won't even care. So if you are ready to step into this version of yourself, if you are ready to stop being the woman who waits and start being the woman who walks, affirm it. Drop a comment. I am done proving my worth to anyone who cannot see it. Say it. Mean it. Because what's coming next, it will make sure you never ever fall for this again. Number 7. Stop waiting. He's already moved on. So my dear, how much longer are you going to wait? How much longer are you going to sit there, staring at your phone, replaying old conversations, looking for signs that he might still care? How many more nights will you waste lying in bed, overthinking every little thing, hoping for a message, a call, some proof that you still mean something to him? Let me tell you the truth you don't want to hear. He has already moved on. While you are sitting in the dark, drowning in heartbreak, he is out living his life. While you are replaying every moment in your head, trying to figure out what you did wrong, he is laughing with someone new. While you're waiting for him to text you just to feel a tiny bit of relief, he is not thinking about you at all. And that's the part that hurts the most, doesn't it? Not just that he left, but that he doesn't even seem to care. That while you are breaking, he is perfectly fine. That everything you thought mattered, all the memories, all the love, all the time you gave him, meant nothing to him. It feels like a slap in the face, because you would never do that to him. You would never walk away so easily. You would never erase him from your life like he was nothing. But that is the difference between you and him, because you gave real love, and he didn't. And yet, here you are, still waiting, still hoping that maybe, just maybe, one day he'll wake up and regret it. That one day he'll come back and finally see your worth. Wake up. The only person suffering here is you. He is gone. He is not coming back. And even if he does, it won't be because he loves you. It will be because he got bored, because something didn't work out, because he needs an ego boost. And you are not a second option. You are not a backup plan. You are not some comfort zone he can return to whenever he feels like it. You are holding onto a balloon that has already floated away. Let go, because the longer you wait, the more you waste your life, the more you rob yourself of happiness, the more you keep yourself stuck in a past that has nothing left to offer you. So now, you have a choice. You can keep sitting there, waiting for someone who has already moved on, or you can stand up, wipe your tears, and start living for yourself. Drop a comment. I refuse to wait for someone who left me behind. Say it, mean it, and never, ever let yourself wait for someone who was so quick to forget you again. And that's it. No more chasing, no more hoping, no more waiting for someone who never valued you. You gave him everything, your time, your energy, your love, and he still didn't see your worth. So now, you stop. No more waiting, no more begging, no more proving. Your power is yours again. He will feel your loss, but by then, you won't care. So make sure to hit the like button, comment, and share this with a woman who needs to hear it. See you in the next video.